Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
When you mention space food to somebody, they're likely to think of this. Now, this is astronaut food, but this isn't real astronaut food. Oh no, this is just a freeze-dried ice cream sandwich. Now, I picked this up at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center a few months ago, and if you've ever had one of these, then you would know that these would not make for a great meal every single day. But something tells me that the astronauts of the 60s and 70s would love to have this ice cream sandwich on their trips back and forth from the moon.
The first ever food in space was sent up with Yuri Gagarin with the launch of Vostok 1 in 1961. Yuri's provisions for his short flight were 2 tubes of pureed meat and 1 tube of chocolate sauce. Yes, this was served in a toothpaste-like tube, and yes, it tasted awful. Thankfully for Yuri, he never had to eat them before landing. The first person to eat in space was John Glenn in 1962. Back then, NASA was not sure if humans could even ingest food in space without problems. So, John Glenn became the astronaut who would conduct the experiment. They sent him up there with some applesauce in a tube, along with some xylose sugar tablets with water. This might have been the most appealing of the food used in the Mercury program, as most of the food was hated by the astronauts. The food served in the Mercury capsule consisted of mushroom soup, orange grapefruit juice, coca beverage, pineapple juice, chicken with gravy, pears, strawberries, and beef and vegetables. Most of their food were semi-liquids in a tube that was consumed through a straw, and the rest were dehydrated cubes. The Mercury astronauts did not enjoy their food, and it would be improved during Gemini.
When 1965 rolled around, the Gemini Cafe had many more options than its previous incarnations. By that time, NASA had started to develop dry frozen food, which was a much needed improvement.
On the Gemini mission, the menu included shrimp cocktails, turkey bites, cream of chicken soup, and butterscotch pudding. This meant that the food was no longer in tubes, it would now retain their flavor. In order to freeze dry food, NASA would cook it, freeze it really quickly, and then remove all the water. This keeps the flavor of the food, and now all one has to do is add water to the food and eat it. Even though the astronauts liked the freeze-dried food better, it still didn't satisfy them enough. When Gemini 3 launched, there wasn't only freeze-dried food on the ship. This caused loads of problems on the flight, mainly because it messed up the experiment where astronaut John Young would only eat approved food and Gus Grissom would eat nothing. You see, Grissom loved himself a corned beef sandwich, and Young knew this. So in order to mess with Grissom, Young snuck a corned beef sandwich onto the flight, and Grissom could not resist. When the capsule landed, there was 1 less corned beef sandwich on the ship and 1 more thing in Grissom's stomach. NASA mildly punished the astronauts, and in perfect government fashion, a congressional hearing was called, forcing NASA to promise that there would be no more rogue sandwiches in space.
With the Apollo program firing up, it was time to improve the in-flight dining yet again. The first improvement made was stricter security guidelines on what the astronauts were to bring into space. The next one was hot water. This made it a lot easier for astronauts to reheat their food up in the capsule. All of this allowed for the next great improvement in space exploration. Spoons. Yes, utensils.
Utensils were introduced to space for the first time in the Apollo program. Spoon bowls, as they were called, worked by using the wetness of the food to make it clump together and stick to the bowl and the spoon. This way, there was not food particles floating around the capsule. And of course, with the new mission came an expanded menu. This time, cornflakes, beef sandwiches, tuna salad, chocolate pudding, and bacon bits were all served. On special occasions, the astronauts even got to have treats. On Christmas Eve 1968, the Apollo crew took some fruitcake to space. This was a good way to celebrate the first Christmas in space. During the Apollo 11 moon landing, there was another space first. On the hour-long rest during the moonwalk, astronaut Buzz Aldrin took part in the first Christian communion on the moon. Buzz became the first person to pour wine on the moon when he poured wine into a special chalice given to him for the occasion. When pouring the wine in the 1/6 gravity of the Earth, Buzz described it as slow and graceful as it curled up the side of the cup. The Apollo program was full of firsts, and the food was no exception. Space food would advance again and again through the years, up until today. Now, the food on the ISS is much more similar to regular food. They have hamburgers, tacos, veggies, and tasty drinks to wash it all down. Long gone are the days of toothpaste tubes filled with meat and freeze-dried food.
So I guess I have one question after all of this. What does the old space food taste like? Well, this isn't it, but this is about as close as I can get. So, let's see what this ice cream sandwich tastes like, shall we? Open this sucker up. There's the sandwich wrapped up. This sucker is not well preserved. It's been crushed multiple times. Doesn't smell bad, actually. I haven't had one of these since I was like, I don't know, 10 years old? Let's see. Hell of a crunch there. I don't know what they're talking about by saying that dry frozen food reserves the flavor. It definitely does not reserve the flavor of this thing. You can taste the difference between chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry pretty easily. Much rather prefer an actual ice cream sandwich to this. This isn't the best thing in the world. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave a comment below if you've ever had any of this space food and whether or not you like it. I'm still indifferent. But thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you like the video if you can, and hit me up on Twitter and at Instagram at Blue Earth Thing on both ones. I'll see y'all next time. Blue Earth Thing out.